Let's see the new FBX Export tool for Shifter. The tool is under Shifter menu, Game Tools, FBX Export. Here we can see the tool is divided in several sections. The first section, it's where we set the roots for our geometries and root and joints. The next section is for settings. Then we have a file path where we will export the data, and also a section for Unreal Engine import. So it will automatize some imports in Unreal Engine. This will use the mGear that we have installed in another video, and it will take advantage of that so you can have this bridge automatically. Then we have the export section itself that have two tabs. The first tab is the skeletal mesh, and the second tab is the animation. So basically, one obviously is meant for skeletal mesh and the other for animation clips. So let's start by setting all the elements, all the source elements. So for the geo root, we can have several geo roots. In this case, it's only one here. So I just need to select it there and click. And for the join root, also we have only one join root. If it's a setup for shifter, obviously this needs to be a shifter setup or rig, so it can be automatized by clicking auto here. Then on the settings, we have the first section that we have the basic settings for exporting FBX. So like which axis is the up axis, the FBX version, if it's a binary or ASCII. And then the rest of these settings for FBX are stored in a preset and used here. So we have different presets, and these presets are created using the regular FBX exporter from Maya. So if we go to File and Export Selection, just gonna open the settings here. So we can edit the presets here. By the way, this tool and this menu here, if you have on your settings inside Maya the option to use the default OS menu or browser, it's not gonna show up exactly the same, and it may cause some issues here. So you need to use the default Maya Explorer or Windows just to be sure. I'm talking about this is a file project. So here where we say the file dialog, if you use OS native, it's going to be slightly different and may cause some issues. So just Maya default. So that's what I'm referring to. Okay, so for the presets, we can set up here the rest of options that we have for the FBX exporter. That it's a ton of options. And here on the presets area, so we can basically go here and save a new preset. And so save like a sample or something. And so when we save the preset, so it's here. So here it's not yet available. You need to close this and reopen again. So you see here we have now the sample that we just saved. So I'm just going to use the user defined. That is the one I'm using always. That basically is something I adjust on the configuration, but can be different for each person. Okay, so now the file path. So for the file path, we can select any path we want to save our data. So in this case, I'm just gonna use this one here, FBX. So I'm gonna save this. And for the name, I'm just gonna use bboy, all uppercase. So it's a butcher. So it's butcher boy. I mean, the type of character, it's a butcher. So it's a bit dark, but it looks like a really nice guy. So you never know. Anyway, so about the Unreal Engine import. So to use Unreal Engine import automatically, so you just need to click here. So it's gonna activate that section. And in our case, we have this Unreal Engine demo project that I have created previously, and we already have installed mGear here. So you can see the menu there. So basically we can go here on our content, characters, and select this folder. So important point here, we need to select using not the tree menu that we see here, but select the folder here on the drawer content browser. So now if I go back to my Maya and I click this icon here, it will detect which folder it's selected and populated that for you. The skeletons, we don't have any skeleton yet on the sample project, so we cannot see anything here. Then we have the partitions or sections. So for the skeletal mesh, so for the first test, I'm just gonna use not use the partitions, but before, just for remember that I forgot, I just skipped that part here, the conditioning. So basically the conditioning is gonna process sorry, your data and remove some elements that we don't want. For instance, we will remove namespaces in case we have it, but normally for skeletal meshes we don't have it, but in case you have it, we'll remove that. And also for the rig, we have the rig that it's all under this rig node, and we have the geometry here, we have the root there, the joints. So it's going to clean up everything for you and remove all the data that is not needed. So basically, in the classic pipeline for video games, you will use maybe tools like these ones that I have here that delete the rig and keep the joints, things like that, or disconnect and connect. So you have like separated structures and what you export, and or it's very destructive. So basically, you get your rig, you delete everything manually, and export the skeletal mesh with the geometry. So these kinds of workflows are working, obviously, but this is way more convenient. So basically, with the same rig, you have everything ready. You don't need to care. Just have these options activated, and it will generate a clean version for you. Okay, so going back to the export section, I'm just gonna activate one skin. It's by default in shapes in case we have it. Partitions I deactivated, and the cool joints, it's deactive for the moment, but this basically deletes the joints that we don't need in each partition. So the data, it's a bit more cleaner and small. So I'm just gonna export now, and you can see that it's gonna spawn this Maya batch, and it will process all in the Maya batch. So basically here, the session, it's not logged. Okay, so this is what it's doing Maya batch here. And it's cleaning the scene and just generating some data. And now it's exporting, so it's 100%. So if we go to our Unreal project, we can see there's all the message, like some information on the FBX export or import. But you can see here the character has been imported correctly. I'm just going to double check my skeleton definition, and we can see the skeleton is there. We have basically one skeletal mesh here, and we didn't import any animation. But so far so good. So we have one-click solution where we can export the data directly to our Unreal project. Okay, nice. So now that we have that, I'm just gonna save this. So everything is clean. Just save all just in case. Okay. So just going back to Maya, and now we are going to use the partitions. So for the partitions, we can start by obviously activating there and creating our own partition. So we're just going to create one called weapon, and another partition that is going to be called face. Okay, so we have both partitions there. So we can drag and drop the objects from here to here, or we can directly from the Euro, for instance, from here to here. We can just use this plus, and it will do exactly the same. So drag and drop in, or selecting directly on the scene will generate these partitions. And I'm just gonna activate the cool joint so we can see what's going on with this deleting data. So just going back again to the Unreal, so we can see here our skeletal mesh. When we check, we go here in animation, in bonds and all hierarchy. So we can see here it has all joints. But imagine, like for instance, the knife that is the weapon. This probably only have one. If we export it separated, only have the root joint and maybe one that is the one that it's for the knife here. So this is what the cooling will do. Will delete anything else that is not being used. Also here you have all these IK joints that are not used for anything. So this will be not exported when we use the cooling. So in some situations, like if you do like I'm doing here, where you have first your complete skeleton definition, and then import parts later to add like some modular characters, so maybe that will be enough. But if you don't have this and add all straight as partitions, maybe you will lose some of your joints that are not used in any geometry, like this IK that are used for animation blueprints. Okay, so now that we have this explanation out of the way, let's click export again. Oh, 1 second, sorry. No, not export. If you refresh now, click and click again, you will see now we have this b-boy skeleton. And I can highlight it. If you want to unselect it, just control click and we'll unselect that. So I just want to add it there. So we are adding all the new skeletal mesh to this existing skeleton. Okay, so just gonna export again. And again, it's gonna spawn another Maya batch and process all the data. So this is gonna take a few seconds. It's quite fast, and it's not locking your scene. Maybe you can keep working happily. And let's wait. Okay, this is close, importing in Unreal. So we go back to Unreal, smoothing groups, blah, blah, some nodes there. But you can see here now we have the skeletal mesh, that it's the b-boy. Then we have a b-boy master, that was the body that we left on the partitions. Then we have the weapon, but with a typo, nice, and the face. So if we check the skeletal mesh on the weapon, we can see now it's using only two joints, but because it's added to the main skeleton, we can see the rest of the joints. So here in preview, we can check all our partitions, and when we check here, you see now the joints that have been used in each section. So it's clear that the joint cleaning it's working. And here is because it's or use it, or maybe this is not used obviously, but it's always tracing your hierarchy to the root itself. So that's the reason, because we have the whole spine, even if it's not used there, and so on. Okay, so that's it for the skeletal mesh. I'm just gonna stop here the video, and the next one we will check the animation.